If you've been recently playing Dead by Daylight, you've probably been noticing the increase of disconnects and griefers. Considering that the devs have been improving the game for the past years, the situation looks like it's getting worse. Why? Well, it could be exactly these changes that have been directly or indirectly affecting the game and the community. Let me break it down in 3 parts. And we're gonna start looking at the lack of incentive. As a result of the reduction of the grind, the game doesn't adequately reward the players for facing difficult matches in any meaningful way. Why would I play against these nerds here now when I can just leave and play their match? Why struggle against these strong add-ons from this killer if I can just go nets and get a better chance of winning? Another example of this will be the run grade reward. While this change was an overall improvement, it had some unintended repercussions with the game retention. Another contribution to the issue is that behavior rewards everything with blood points. While the new players is beneficial, veteran player doesn't feel like that. Because of this lack of motivation, the player is incentivized to quit difficult matches, either by DCing, forcing a second stage, or griefing the game, which lead us to lack of punishment. The game is 7 years old and the current report system is basically useless. Despite of the constant rise in player numbers across all the platforms, behavior refused to implement a functional in-game report, which is really essential for any game. This has resulted in a lack of player accountability, causing an overall decrease in a match quality that could be improved with in-game tools to identify a griefer, yet behavior is averse to these changes or improvements, which lead us to the final point. MMR and matchmaking. MMR has been troubled since the initial release. Despite its promises of bringing higher quality of games, decent queue times, and balance to everyone across all the skill levels, it only seems to be failed or fall short on a questionable methods of calculating the skill and providing a balanced matchmaking. Understanding how the MMR and matchmaking works is fundamental to make any conclusion. Let me explain it really quickly. Like in any MMR and other games, the streams of the spectrum points the low or the new players and the high MMR or the veteran players. Currently the game is based on a spectrum of from 0 through 3000. At the bottom of the spectrum we got a small gap where all the new players play each other most of the time, and after a couple of games the game will place you depending on how many games and kills you got in your games. When you're getting closer to the 1600 MMR, this is where the soft cap is situated. Once you pass the soft cap, you're not allowed to go lower no matter what. This means that no matter how many games in a row you lose, you will never be dropped to lower MMRs. This really doesn't matter because with the recent changes to the MMR, you can technically play with anyone from the spectrum if you're situated past the soft cap. The reason why this is working like this is because behavior is prioritizing time over quality. This can explain why you sometimes might encounter new or not experienced players, considering that you have a good amount of hours in the game. Like we said before, the skill is measured by kills and escapes. This comes with countless lose-lose situations for an MMR system like this, wherein some players have the ability to cheat the system.
I guess you weren't skillful enough in this game. And so one of the things I find very interesting and kind of based, if you think about it, from Behavior's devs, is that even though that Meg did a pretty good job of extending a chase versus me, if she dies now, none of that matters, because if you die at the end of the game, then that is more of a representation of your skill than if you were able to do anything during the game itself.
Right. Skilled play leads to wins. If they don't, are they really skilled plays? Right? If your skilled play doesn't get you to win, was it really a skilled play in the first place?
So
if we look at the past of the MMR at launch, the MMR was too strict, forcing high skilled players only be versing against high level players.
If you remember, I actually ended up getting a 2-hour queue as the twins.
This created an extremely sweaty environment while also having long queue times. Players got tired of this very quickly and resulted in players leaving the game in mass. This resulted on an arms race between the community and behavior, where they have to constantly make changes to the MMR system to appease the players, resulting in the matchmaking that we have today, which is arguably more flawed than the rank system that we have in the past. This leads us with the argument if the game really needs a separate game mode, one for casuals and another for competitives. What exactly wants the community? There are some people that take the game very casually, others not too much, and there comes with the argument that who is right, who is wrong. Do people want to wait 20 minutes, 50 minutes to find a perfect match, or just get one in 1 minute but expect worst of the worst? Why is it impossible to have both at the same time? The current system works really well for new players. However, for the medium and high MMR community, they are forced to burst each other, despite of the potential skill difference resulting in comments such as "Why am I playing with this new player?" or "Why am I playing with this nurse or blind?" The game has gone through many changes in the past, some positive, some negative, but overall we want the game to succeed, and hopefully through discussing these issues with behavior, they will become increasingly aware, and hopefully with the new updates, they're gonna improve the situation. Uh-oh.